Well, there are always more to it than people think in any club. And I think to start with, just to underline what you're saying, when Oliver Glasner's name will be written into the Eintracht Frankfurt history, he will be there up with golden letters. He's been doing fantastic with them. It's like you said, a year ago winning the Europa League, 10 months ago playing Super League final against Real Madrid, 6 months ago playing Champions League with Eintracht Frankfurt, which is unbelievable. And in 2 weeks' time, playing Pokalfinale in Berlin against RB Leipzig, can win another title. But then in the Bundesliga, there have been 10 games without winning. And you know how it's like when you're not winning games, things start to kind of come up. Then all the negative things coming up. And in February, Markus Krösche, who is the head of sport at Frankfurt, offered him a new contract. His contract is for another year. They offered him to extend it. Oliver Glasner was doubting that a bit. And as I understand it, and I'm careful with my words now, as you know that Eintracht Frankfurt is my club, as I understand it, sometimes the coach, he wants finished articles. He wants player to make him better now. Why is that important for a coach? Because he is judged on now. That is the problem with a coach. A head of sport will have to think in a longer perspective. You have to build up young players. And then you have the typical dilemma. A head of sport will say that try to develop the young players we're having. A coach, I say first in general now, will always say that they're not good enough. And then you will have the dilemma about the work that the head of sport has done and the head of or the coach is doing on the training pitch. And Oliver Glasner have had some statement in the media, now seen retrospect, you see it in the mirror, what he said. He said, for example, after the Union game, you can't coach quality, you can't train quality. Well, I thought that was a part of being a coach, to get him to the next stage, as he did with Jesper Lindström, as he done with Muani. So I tried to make the case for both here. I just tried to show you the things that are going on at the club every day, the whole year long, because short-term, long-term perspective, with the planning long-term, winning short-term term, as Rehagel, my favorite quote man, say. So it's interesting to see that builds up when you lose football games or you don't win football games. And you got a feeling when you see Eintracht Frankfurt that the connection between the players and Oliver Glasner wasn't perfect. And then with all these things building up, and it seems to be a tension between the head of sport and the head of coach, the coach, there is always just one winner, because a coach is there to win football games, fair enough, but a head of sport will always be there to build for the future. The thing is that when a head of sport don't feel that you're finding the philosophy of the club, Eintracht Frankfurt is not there. They can buy finished players. Muani, nobody knew him when he came, more or less. Lindström the same, who's taking the next step. Now they got to replace Kamada. They need 1 or 2 defenders. So it's a classic dilemma. Thank God they didn't end up firing him now, 2-3 weeks before the Pokalfinale. I think that was good. The problem for Glasner, Marcus, and I just have to note that I like Glasner. I've interviewed him. I have a good expression of him. I can't say how he is behind in the dressing room. I can't tell you that. I'm just saying that it is not a good thing for Glasner that he's now ending his career at Frankfurt at the same way that he ended his career at Wolfsburg. There he had experienced head of sport in Schmatke. Now he has a younger sports Vorstand head of sport.
Schmatke has his own kind of, he's had tensions in the past with other coaches, of course, but that
so people just saw that well, that's typical Schmatke. The problem now for Glasner, I'm not saying right or wrong because I can't tell you, but his thing now is typical Glasner. And you see that with Julian Nagelsmann now being linked to a lot of English clubs. There is a kind of think that he can't work with big players or big teams that is in Bayern. Not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying that could be the narrative. Do we say that in English? That could be the narrative that you have to build on. In terms of sport, one of the greatest coaches ever, won the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt, and can now win the cup win. I hope for him that it will be a great ending for him. It was interesting now that he was not only this situation was sorted, but he was suspended because he kicked the ball onto the field in the last game, so he was in the stands, and they won 3-0. Someone can say that was some energy that got loose in the dressing room. Others could say that Glasner would have sorted that out anyway, and only time will tell who's right.
Yeah, on that ending point, so to speak, it's one of those as a club, and you've been there as a sporting director as well, where to what degree do you let a coach dictate, right? Because a club will certainly outlast the coach, and with average tenures being no less than 1.5 years, 3 years. I mean, 3 years is regarded as a long time. He's been there since 2021, mind you. There is that internal conflict, so to speak, that strife between what you need now and what you need in the future, what kind of legacy you build as a club, where's the philosophy. I think Eintracht Frankfurt certainly have a philosophy, and that can't be said about all clubs. What do they stand for? Where are they headed? Which is important for identity, but also sustainability of a club model, right? So
exactly. And people, yeah, well said. And for English listeners, Germany have another model. They have a head of sport. The head of sport's responsibility is the long term. It's the philosophy, just to see that the philosophy of the club is followed. It may be based on a plan, it's maybe based on a virtual plan, or it's an actual plan. And Marcus Krös's job is to see that is followed. If he sees that the coach is not following it, he has to act. That is what they do in Germany. That is a German model. Glasner would say, of course, disagree. He would say that the best thing in the long term for Eintracht Frankfurt is to win Europa League, be in the Champions League, be in the Super League final, get himself into a Pokal finale again. So that is a classic dilemma when you have that kind of system. Sometimes people wish they were way back when a coach decided everything. I don't think that is the answer either.